It's 7 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting order, and we have the pledge. Roll call, please.
Jim Sullivan. Present, yes. Present, yes.
Present.
Here.
Secretary. He did not get a chance to review that before the meeting today. And as a result, we can, rather than push it through, I would recommend that we table those minutes until everybody's had a chance to review it and can
Very good. I need a motion for that.
I'll motion. I'll second.
Okay, if I move second to table of minutes to next meeting.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
President, other than the objections set forth by our attorney, which will result in 2 or 3 sentences of change in the minutes, does anyone else have any objections to anything in the minutes?
We've already voted to table it. We would have to rescind that. I'm okay with the way. Okay.
No objections from me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. All right. Next on the agenda, old business. Trustee.
I kind of wanted to give you guys an update on our foundation work. The major work on the foundation has been completed, and we will say it was a very loud couple days. Unfortunately, we now have repairs to the ceiling and the walls that they cut out to get the foundation completed. So we have reached out to a few contractors that we have used in the past, and we are accepting their quotes for the repairs of the drywall in the ceiling. We have the carpet on order. The carpet, we even have an installation date. However, if we can't get the repairs done to the ceiling and the drywall, then we won't put the carpet in. We will delay the installation of the carpet. I think we have our first contractor coming out tomorrow or Friday, and see what we have to do and how long it's going to take and how much it's going to cost.
Questions from the board? Okay, moving on to new business, school uniforms, trustee.
We are very happy that we helped 21 families with school uniform vouchers, and that's totaling 50 students that received the vouchers to dress, as the township says, dress to impress for the 25-26 school year. We were down from last year, but we still helped 21 families and 50 students with school clothing. "21 families that totaled 50 students."
All right, next up, we're going to recess the board
public hearing in order to adopt the capital improvement plan. So that has been publicly noticed. The 2 new schedule is required by the statute, and so we
requirement from what we have to do is we have to have a 3-year capital plan. Capital plan in your plan, so so in the rainy day, you'll see that there are negative balances on this first page. So the first page is a summary page of everything that happens from before. So, and the reason it's negative is because we have more capital encumbered for over the next several years than what we have in cash balances. So obviously there'll have to be some adjustments. And then there's a report in here that shows the income. So on the second page is the rainy day fund. And it's showing at the end of 12/31/26, and these are estimated balances. Our balance will be $1,560,969. And we're showing that we have projects that we're going to go against the rainy day fund of $1,593,000.
Capital improvement plan, the budget. Okay, okay.
The 1.5 million is before any capital improvement plan. That's what we're saying that the fund will have as a balance estimated at the end of 12/31/26. And then in our plan, we have 1,593,000 items for capital, which then leaves us a negative balance of $32,031. And then the next page is the general fund. And again, this is an estimated cash balance at the end of 12/31. So we have to figure what we anticipate spending for the end of this year, what we anticipate receiving in 26, and what we anticipate spending. So it's clearly an estimated balance. So it will change, but this is estimated. And then we have, it's 503,710. And then committed in capital improvements, we have $505,000, which again leaves us a negative balance of $1,290. Then you get into the meat of where everything is, which is the capital improvements. So all these, so we've got in here, it'll show the year, what fund they're being paid out, what it's for, and then the project description, and then the amount. So then it goes through each year. It's got 26, which is relates to the budget, 27, 28, and then we've got it through 31 of plans of things that are anticipated to do. And then on the last two pages are the revenues of where the revenues that'll be coming into. Well, we don't have any revenue going into the rainy day fund, so that's why that fun's not on there. And then we have to do the estimated revenues, 25 autofills for what we do this year. 26 is estimated, and then 27, same thing. And then 28, you'll notice that I don't have any local income tax, because right now, the way it stands, we're not supposed to be receiving any until they determine, I mean, I think they're making changes, but as it stands right now with last budget session, lit dollars are going away, which I've mentioned in other meetings. So that is the overall plan of what everything is. But keep in mind, this is as of 12/31/26. We have to approve another plan as of 9/30/26. So this, we'll have a better idea of where things are next year, because this honestly was, it was approved to start July 1st. DLGF was given this project basically overnight. I didn't even get reports until basically the end of July, the 1st of August, and they made several revisions. start it, finally I just stopped for a little bit because I made like 7 different revisions that I had to, because there's a template I have to use that they did. And some of the formulas didn't work. And so, they made some revisions because it was a hurry up thing for them as well. So basically that's where we are as far as what we have to do, and this is basically encumbering and from our plan potential items that we're wanting to do in the next several years. And then again, we're showing that we're not going to have to give up any of our cash at this point, and that we would be negative, which obviously we're not going to be negative, but it would come from other things, other tax dollars, because the tax dollars don't factor into that as far as where it goes. It just basically takes the ending cash balance, what the capital items are, and then it takes that balance from there.
Right, that she talked about, Beth talked about how there's going to be a statute requires the township now to do capital improvement plan by September 30th of every year. So the capital improvement plan will get amended every year in order, and if the township cannot receive tax dollars if it doesn't do that. The board will be required to amend that township or that capital improvement plan every year. And every year you guys will get a better sense of what those capital improvement projects are like going forward. So right now, I think the township, in the very short period that it had, put together, a good idea of what it would like to do going forward, keeping in mind that things change, and when things change, we're going to have to amend that capital improvement plan. And ultimately, if things change and the township wants to contribute to a road infrastructure fund and finds that to be a greater priority than, say, an item on the capital improvement, you guys still have the flexibility to do that as well.
Compared to other years.
That's a weird question because there's been nothing like this in past years. The capital improvement plan mandates going forward, the road infrastructure fund, there's been nothing like it before. So I don't know that there is a way to compare it to prior years.
I know not tonight, but when would this be? What is
Capital improvement plan needs to be voted on by September 30th after a public hearing. The public hearing is obviously right now. If it wasn't approved tonight, you would have to approve it in another meeting before September 30th. So, and it is possible to notice up another hearing before then. It's just difficult.
Comes up every year, annually.
Yes. I mean, yes. If you do not have the funds identified in the capital improvement plan, 30% will be required to transfer into a road and infrastructure fund, at which point you do not have control over whether those funds are used for road infrastructure or not. They have to be used for that purpose. So identifying a capital improvement plan now allows you the flexibility to say, okay, we'll flesh out those ideas better in 2026, the ones going down the right, ones going down 27, 28, 29, 30. And then if, road or infrastructure becomes a bigger priority, you can transfer those funds and you can work on that.
So, yeah, so the choices are is that how we want to allocate those funds. Once though, let's say we want to use it for our own that makes
The capital improvement plan doesn't have to be accomplished by the end of 2026. This is about 2031 at this point. But so again, in 2026, if you want to amend it and use the funds for different purposes, like the road and infrastructure fund, you can do that.
The decision it has to be made at that point in time, at that one time, not.
No, it technically has to be done before 12/31 of 26, or the 12/31 of that year, because it's at 12/31 of every year, whatever that balance is, that's when decisions have to be made.
I get you. Thank you.
Under the capital improvement plan, there is a negative adjusted estimated December 31st, 2026 cash balance of $32,031. That's generated by taking the estimated monies available minus the elements in the capital improvement plan, right?
And the budget.
Well, yeah, and the budget. So it is not taking into account the income. So those last 2 pages that I showed you, that does not factor in there. I just had to list those. Those are places that the monies can come from, which that's where they would come from. Obviously, you're not going to be negative cash.
Yeah, that was my point earlier. It doesn't reflect a negative cash balance at the end of 2025 or at the end of 2026. It indicates that the rainy day fund is encumbered and the budget is encumbered, and there are no unrestricted funds that would have to be automatically transferred under 5.5 or 9.5 or something.
So the 32,000 is, if that were a positive number, would that be the money then that the infrastructure or the road improvement fund would be getting?
If that were a positive number, 30% of that, we would have to transfer at least 30% of that.
But since it's a negative number, does the city county council pay us?
No.
Surprise.
So unless there's any other
Thank you.
board questions, we can open up for public comment.
Questions before we close?
No one signed up for public comment, but we should check just to make sure. Oh, see no public comment, you can close the public meeting then. Sorry, hearing.
We can close the public hearing and reopen the board meeting here. And resolution 2025-3 is approval of the capital improvement plan. More discussion on that?
That in front of you. Today for us. We just have to do this in order to get any funds, so it has to be done and uploaded before September 30th. Over it, and then at the very end, we'll come around and have, if you approve it, have you sign it.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-3. I will second that motion. Aye.
Budget to the board, small claims court, Judge?
Okay, does everyone have it? Hello. Does everyone have it in front of them? Small claims proposed budget? It should be right after that resolution. Okay. All right, so starting with group 1, the salary of the judge is first. No increase this year, so that's just being straight lined. It includes about 4% above what the actual salary is now that's set by the state. So that's why it did not change. The next salary and wages for this staff, we're proposing a 3% increase. Line 1AH, there's a small increase due to adding another staff member. So we just wanted to add a little bit to that in case that's something that if every staff member is eligible for, that there would be enough to include there for our new security person. 1BA and 1BB are both based on whatever the salaries are. So we had enough in there to cover. So those are both straight lines. Health insurance is likely going to go up. I have not had to increase that because we've had some built in, but because the insurance costs seem to be kind of skyrocketing every year, I did propose a 12% increase on that. 1BD stays the same. Under Group 2, the only increase would be, we're proposing is for operating supplies, and that's to cover the ongoing and consistent increase of postage. We use a lot of postage, so, and that seems to go up every 3 to 4 months. And so we are asking for a small increase for that. And then Group 3, everything else is straight lined, no increases proposed, as well as Group 4.
Okay, next up would be the Perry Township General Fund and the
I'll go through what we are increasing and what we're proposing to increase. And then if you have more detailed questions on stuff that I don't see here, if we need to, Beth will help with that. Again, for the salaries for our staff and the board, it's a 3% raise. The judge and I always ask each other, and we kind of work together on that. So that's a 3% across the board. Again, because we do have an extra staff member that we share, we both increased our bonus by $500 because if they would deserve that, and since it's a shared staff member, we both would have that money to give them. Social Security and PERF are based on your salaries. So with what we had and what we did, we increased it at 3%. And that's just to cover it with the employee's number and the salary. PERF, we had enough, so we did not have to increase that. And again, health insurance, I requested a 15% increase. I have a couple more staff that have it, and I didn't have quite as much left in there, so I needed to increase what we have in our health insurance to cover next year. Every year it's going to go up. We just don't know an exact amount. Then in Group 2, under 2C for repair, maintenance, and supplies, I increased it for some reason just a little bit to make it an even amount. So I increased it $400, and that covers the entire building. The repair and maintenance is for the building and our office. We don't divide that between the small claims court or anything. It's just, we take on that. The rest is just straight lined. Then if you go down to Group 3, you're going to see workman's comp, which goes up due to number of employees. So I increased that. Vehicle insurance, liability insurance, we have to have that. We guess at what it's going to go up. I believe it went up 15% this year, but I have enough to cover it. So we always want to raise that to make sure we always have enough for the vehicle insurance. And yes, we do have 2 vehicles. I inherited those, so we have to cover that. Utilities go up, so I increased that by 20%. Again, the utilities is for the building. It's for the whole building, not just, so we don't split that. And that's why it's a little bit larger. The rest of it has no increases. Under capital outlays, Group 4, I increased it from 37.5 to 40, a 7%, and that's to do some of what we have in our capital improvement plan. Some of those are required, some of those will be necessary, so we'll take care of that. Cemetery, I did not increase. We've had plenty of money for that. And then capital improvements, I raised by $10,000 to complete the necessary, and most of it is building repairs. that we're gonna have to do throughout the building and just some things that happen. So that's the general fund. Just questions or? Right, then the next one is the assistance fund. And in group one, again, the 2 employees will be getting a 3% raise. That's what I changed it to. And then health insurance, I again increased 15%. Again, I wanted to go higher just in case, because at 12% this year, and I'm not sure what is gonna go up next year. Group 2, office supplies, I raised their office supplies. They are raising daily, and they do use a lot of file folders and other supplies. The rest of it is streamlined. We don't, postage, we really don't have a lot, and that comes out of the office supplies if we need to. Group 3, professional services, that's all streamlined the same. If you go down to repair and maintenance under 3F, I decreased it, $330. They haven't used any yet this year, so I'm going to assume they're not going to use much next year, so I decreased that. I haven't got to direct assistance yet.
No, I was looking under community outreach. We went past that. And that was, for 2025, it was budgeted at 10,000. You're indicated a disbursement of $1,000.
Howard, I haven't
Tell me
covered,
again what
I
the-
haven't even discussed direct, I just discussed the assistance.
Oh,
Admin. I'm
okay.
getting ready to do direct right now. So,
Oh,
okay, so on direct assistance, I increased burials. That has raised, I raised that 50%, so it went from 10,000 to 15,000. Again, as I told people that those costs are just rising. Under group 2, other direct relief, I raised shelter $7,000, or $7,000. We've already used $106,000 for this year. So I just want to make sure we don't run out of money, and so I raised it 7. And then utility services, as we all know, the utilities are going up, and I raised that from 40,000 to 45,000. It's a 13% raise at 5,000. Everything else I left the same. I didn't change the Julian Center or community outreach for anything we do in the community or services that we do to food pantries and things like that. Then under direct transients, there's all streamlined. I didn't change any of that. If I donate to food pantries, any of the school that I donate to, like uniform assistance. We also do our trunk or treat here for the community. We pay for that. We pay for the Hero Award trophy out of that because we're reaching out to the community. So anything we do in the community, outreach to them, that comes out of that fund.
I think that your proposed provision for public utility service may not be enough. I say that for 2 reasons. AES is in there for a 25% increase. Did you build that in? Citizens Energy, which is supposed to be a charitable trust, is nearing completion of its 20-year big dig Much of that was funded with bonded indebtedness. They're going to have to pay off those bonds. They are regulated as a municipal utility, cash requirements only. Consequently, they're probably going to announce in the near future. Don't be surprised that your figure there is low, not because of anything you've done, but because of the utility.
With that being said, I can, if I would need to move money from one area in that section to the other to cover utilities, I could do that without having to come to the board and ask for additional appropriations.
I understand. Money is money, whether in whatever category it's coming out of the taxpayer's pocket, and we have to be wary about other very large entities getting their mitts onto our money. Yeah.
Noted. Again, I didn't raise anything in transient, so I believe that's it.
5.28% overall, the entire budget is only a 4.99, so it's a 5% increase. One thing I did want to share is on the revenue side of this is the levy is a 4% increase. So last year was $582,897, and it went up to 608. The max levy is $638. The problem is the circuit breakers are crazy what everyone's doing, and yours is one of the higher ones that got increased. So last year, your circuit breakers for actual of 25, because they've been out, are $61,338. In 26, the estimated circuit breaker is $119,150. It's a $57,812 increase. It's a 94% increase. So that is, with everything that really is affecting things. And we've always put, all the levy is going to go to the assistance, which is what it did last year. But I just wanted you to be aware that that circuit breaker is extremely high. And with all the changes they're making, also just as right now, our tax rate, again, we're at 0.0095, and because I sit there and do the AV, 5%, that creates, when we're doing the budget, to be a little bit higher, but when it comes out, when they actually get the certified assessed value, it doesn't, we can always make the adjustment on our 1782. So I just want everyone to be aware of that.
Budget contemplates that the tax levy rate won't change at all. And the way it's submitted to DLGF doesn't mean that's how we submit it at the end of the year as the requested rate being the same. Right? The goal here is to keep the tax rate the same.
I think we're ready for resolution 2025.
Actually, I can talk about that.
Yes, thank you.
So this is the proposal for the proposed Township Road and Infrastructure Fund with the changes that were made by the General Assembly this year, including we talked about the changes to the spending of unrestricted funds. The legislature now requires the township to create a township road and infrastructure fund. And again, that fund would be for the purpose of any unrestricted funds at the end of the year, any funds that are by definition unrestricted, which means funds that are not identified for the budget, funds that are not identified for a capital improvement plan or a couple other reasons. Those unrestricted, what we would typically look at as being rainy day funds, right? If they're not earmarked for something else. Those funds are, 30% of those funds have to be transferred into a rainy Infrastructure Fund. You guys are required to create that infrastructure fund and pass a resolution that does just that. And that's what this resolution is. This resolution authorizes the trustee to establish and open the fund. Whether and how much funds go in there are still within your control, but you guys are required to create this by statute. Questions?
I do have a question about the fund per se. Funds that may go into that go to
No. So what they do is they go into this fund, and the fund is to be used for road and infrastructure projects in the township. Now, what the township would be required to do is enter into an MOU. If there are funds in there to be used for that purpose, the township be required to enter into an MOU with another governmental entity in order to do that work. Whether that's the city of Indianapolis, Marion County, or another entity is entirely up to your discretion, but the work has to be for road infrastructure and maintenance in Perry Township. So they're not going to go in another
But I wanted
township.
to make sure the money would remain in Perry. That's
Correct. That's what it's for, and that's what the funds go into that account for. Now, as the capital improvement plan and budget currently are structured, there's not anything going into that fund at the end of the year. That gives you, again, a little more flexibility if you want to prioritize road and infrastructure over some existing capital improvement projects, you can do that. But right now, that's how it's been set up.
I'll second that motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Okay, we have 4 ayes and 1 against. Comments from the public?
Aye.
Opposed?